Right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Ayuba Kuro, and welcome to today's live for our new series, which would be basically about technology. We would be covering issues regarding various programming languages, and as usual, we'll always have a guest on this series. And today's guest will be Obina Axibulam. Uh, well, I'll be bringing him up to the stage. So we basically, you can have your comments dropped, and we can have our guest taking your comments and questions. But without further ado, let's have Obina up here. Hi, Obina. How are you doing this
Hi, Rob.
evening?
Yeah, you're correct. I'm good. Thank you
Uh,
for availing the opportunity to be on your live.
All right, great. So quick one before we just go ahead with today's discuss. Can we just briefly get to know you?
Okay, so Obina Silva, I'm a senior software engineer and I'm also the co-founder of Growth Copilots. At Growth Copilots, what we are trying to do is we're trying to foster a community of people who learn continuously. We've realized that over the course of our career, people tend to stop learning when they get engaged with work. And in our business, we're targeting two main categories of people, people who are trying to like get into tech completely, and then people who are already into tech. Not necessarily tech, right? People who are trying to switch into a new career, and people who are already masters in their career and they are trying to advance. What we realize is that those ones who already have jobs and are growing in their career, they are very, very busy and they cannot really they cannot really embrace self-learning fully. So in order for us to get them to learn continuously, we try to bridge that gap by creating an instructor-led courses where we teach them at their own pace and when they are available. However, those other people who learn by themselves, we also realize that they tend to not have a structure. They tend to easily drift apart from what they already know. So we want to create a niche for them, we want to create a roadmap for them, and we also want to build a community of persons who stand in as accountability partners for themselves. So that will start the course and then they will see that you go through the course to the end. So
All
yeah,
right.
that's all about me.
Yeah, great stuff. Great stuff. So your journey to .NET basically, how has it been so far? Quick one. So when you joined Decagon and you were placed with .NET, did you have any regrets? Do you have any regrets so far, or you actually chose .NET when you were signing up for Decagon?
No, I didn't choose .NET at all. I didn't choose .NET at all. I chose I chose Python.
All right.
I chose Python. .NET was not the thing for me. I didn't even know what .NET was until Decagon insisted that I do .NET, right? And to be honest, it has been a very interesting journey so far. I don't have any regrets. I am even happy that I decided to go with Decagon. I'm really happy that I'm doing what I'm doing right now because to be honest, yeah, the amount of the amount of knowledge I've amassed over the years, it has been wonderful. And you know, .NET has been growing, and then .NET has a community, a growing community, and very wonderful
Right.
stuff is happening in .NET currently. So yeah, I'm very excited.
Cool. Cool. Nice one. Nice one. Great. So today you'll be talking to us about minimal API. So before I go ahead, let me just give you a background on why I chose minimal API and why I wanted you to be the one to basically onboard me and others who have not heard about it before and who have had the downsides and but then I recently wanted to go back to writing .NET all over again after leaving it for some couple of time because of work here. I have to write nodes where I work currently in Bamboo. So now coming back to .NET, and I was like, how do I have to go start going about setting up a project, the whole lengthy procedure of setting up a project, getting the database up and running, and I was big on how to simplify that process, and luckily, I've been following up on a little bit about the tidbits of the new features of .NET that have been dropping. So, and Minimal API came to mind. I'm like, okay, um, who's best to handle this right now than someone who's actively writing currently working on .NET. And oh yeah, once more again, congratulations on your publishing your package, your Nugget package. Um, it's a great one, and also your what do you call it? Your Medium page has been having great content, and
Yeah, it doesn't
it's
was.
it's it's been a nice one watching reading your articles, and they're very very educative. So that's why I have you on the show, right? So like, okay, yeah, someone like me who has been in .NET before, who has written C# code before, published applications, but then coming back into it, play because looking at other frameworks, yeah, on Nodes, yeah, for instance, Nest.js, it's pretty straightforward. So yeah, that's why I said, okay, let me just let's have this session together. Let's go live, so that way we got other users who are other persons who are going to be joining us. It seems we've got Obina is frozen for a while. Let's just give him a second. So, but the basic idea of this today's session was how to get back into writing minimal code that will probably just we won't have to be too elaborate, and we can go live as soon as possible. So, for instance, now I was dealing with writing some codes for content on this channel, and I'm like, what I'm about to do is basic stuff, very simple stuff, where I just want to create an API and push out and see how it works out for the use case. Well, okay, so we're still waiting for Obina to get back on us. While we do, I want to say hi to those who are joining us live. Great one, great one. Oluwa to be thank senior Microsoft man. Ah, we still they try to cover upcoming, up and coming. Um, so just a few seconds. I think let's get Obina back on. Hello, Igolo. Um, so if you are joining us live, it will drop in the comments where you're joining us from, and let's meet you. All right. So, Oliver, so how's Lagos today? I guess we almost everyone's coming from returns from Lagos, great buzzing city. Igolo is also joining us from Lagos. Hi, Igolo. Oh, Lord, we are excited to have you here. That's really excited to have you here. Thank you for joining the series, first of its kind. Right? The bugs are always the thing. It's the only way which you are alive. You know you are alive, because if not for the bugs, who are we? All right. So it seems we have Obina joining back in. So in a second now, and I'll bring him up. Okay. Hi, Obina. Welcome back.
Yeah, I have to apologize again for I'm having this power issue where my power keeps going off and on. Yeah, like I was saying,
all right.
one of the issues we were facing, not really an issue, but one of the concerns people were facing in setting up .NET API is the fact that you have to stick to the traditional MVC. And it can be somewhat daunting, especially when you want to just build an API on the fly. You really don't want to be jumping
Right.
from classes to classes, setting up controllers and all of that. So, and since the advent of microservices, right, we want to build lightweight applications that are fast, lightweight APIs that are very fast. The traditional MVC API it comes with a lot of stuff, right? It comes with a lot of boilerplate code, some of which you don't necessarily use, but because of the fact that it comes with everything, it takes quite a while to get started. Yeah. And but the thing about it is that it is rich, and if you want to build a very robust application, very rich application, chances are that you want to stick with the MVC. But if you're building minimal APIs, like if you're building microservices where your APIs are broken down into chunks, and then you just have each project has little set of endpoints that you want to just get going on the fly, you might want to embrace a minimal API. For now, I believe that in .NET 9, a lot of new features will be supported out of the box with a minimal API. But currently, we still have some stuff we cannot do with it. Before we start, or before we jump into code, I would like to show up a slide that kind of explains some of the stuff we will be saying here.
All right.
So if you can see my slide, it says setting up minimal API.
Yeah. So quick one, yeah. Okay, we've lost Obina again. We lost Obina again. All right, I think there's something wrong with this device. Let me just quickly nudge him. While we wait for Obina, all right. Hi, Oladimeji. Welcome. How's Lagos? Welcome back, Obina.
I have to turn off my video just so that we stop having these issues.
Oh, all right then, great. Okay, so you can pull up your slide back again. Let's continue.
So just a second. So the MVC API in .NET is a structured giant, right? I will see that it is divided into three main components: the model, the view, and the control.
Yeah, basically the
Options to be using exactly like Swagger or Postman. The controller continues to serve as what it is, and the model represents the data or the business logic that we will be dealing with in the application, right? And but the question is when we want to use MVC. So like I said, MVC shines in large scale applications that has complex business logic. So if the amount of data that we'll be dealing with is too much, we want to stick with MVC because of so clear cut separation of concerns that it brings out of the box. If we decide to go with minimal API, then we'll see that we'll have to be installing a lot of external dependency just to get it to do some of it.
Yeah, that is one annoying thing that nobody likes.
We have performance considerations as well. So MVC, like I said, it's slow. It's not very slow, but it is slow. Yeah. And given that .NET 8 is about 12 times faster than Node, we want our APIs as well to be as fast as possible. So for that reason, we are going to embrace the agile container, which is the minimalist approach itself. So minimal APIs they are more recent. We got introduced in .NET 6, and they have less boilerplate. You will see that, but the moment you start up, you create a new minimal API, you just have the program.cs file where you have your control. You just have your routes right on the program.cs, and then you can make API calls. Very straightforward approach, right? You don't require too many files. When should we use it? So when you're working with microservices and small scale applications, like I said, applications that are handled by very small teams, we want to go with a minimal API, right? Performance wise, due to its streamlined nature, we are seeing that it is very fast and more resource efficient. So milliseconds, you have your application started up. So it is very important that we know the two. So when you know when to use either of them, then you can help your team make a very good decision on what API approach to use. I still enjoy the MVC approach, if I'm being honest. I still enjoy it. I still use it to but recently I have started embracing the minimal APIs, and we'll see what we can do. So for the course of this,
for me then, right? Because of being able to have so many codes when you're actively writing the MVC, you have so many codes you've written before, so you just quickly jump in, pick up stuff, copy, paste, and you're up and running. So those initial setup is most times, let's say, reduced. So do you think that that's the way, that is what's keeping you back in MVC, or is basically your use case?
People naturally do not like change. I said the reason I'm still struggling to embrace minimal API completely is because of just that reason, change. But for the past 2 weeks, I have been doing a lot of extensive research and work in minimal API, and I'm beginning to love it. Past two projects that I've worked on completely minimal API. So for the course of this conversation, we are going to, I have built a full-fledged API using the traditional MVC. We are going to see how we are going to move from the traditional MVC to minimal API and see why it makes sense, right? And some of the features that we don't have access to, and we also see, if time permits us, we'll see how we can achieve certain things that people are already conversant with using so I'm going to share my code. I'm going to share my code for just a second. Please let me know if you can see my screen.
Oh yeah, I can. Putting it up right now. Okay.
I also have to apologize to the traditional Visual Studio guys. My solution explorer is to the left, and that's because I've been using Rider for a while.
Oh,
I've been using Rider for a while.
Oh, okay.
Well, either is the same thing. First of all, let's talk about the application we are trying to build. I'm just going to run this application, and as well, just share my entire window. 1 second.
Right.
Just
yeah. That way we could get access to your browser also.
Yeah.
So quick one, Obinna. are you pro more? Are you pro Swagger or pro Postman
Postman.
and other
Yeah.
Postman?
No. It depends on what I'm trying to achieve, right? If I'm working on a project that doesn't require too many environment variables, I'm working alone, I'll stick with Swagger. Yeah.
All
If
right.
I'm working with RESTful APIs, I'll work with Postman. But if I'm working with GraphQL APIs, I'll use Insomnia. So it just depends on what I'm doing. Right? The application I
Nice
have it
stuff.
running on localhost. I have it running on localhost.
It can be found.
Not sure what it can be.
So I think you should just okay.
Let's see. Let's see what profile is HTTP plus result browser. Let me search. Hopefully, this one is going to stop us. Launch our. Cool. So we're up,
Yeah,
right?
cool. Yeah, we up.
These applications we are looking at, it just these ingredients. We call the endpoint to get dishes. This particular endpoint, it fetches a list of dishes. So if you pass in a filter, it's going to filter by whatever you send. But if you don't pass it in a filter,
Guess we
so
up.
I have authentication set up for this. That might process the let's paste in since I already have some of this set up and pasting. Or I could just take off the authorized endpoint for that job. One sec. I mean, rather than do all of it, let me just let me allow anonymous. For those that don't know what's going on, I'm going to explain what I'm trying to do. Okay, cool. But let's see. Let's see endpoint again. So we have a set of endpoints, and we're just going to make a few API calls and see how it works. So if we try to get the dish, so you see it returns a list of dishes. If we try to get one by ID, let's pick up ID. And then this returns a single dish. Or so come back to this
All right.
endpoint. So let's view type. This
All right. So it's a bit pretty basic, pretty basic functionality.
But one thing you can see is that we have a controller set up. We have to do some kind of interaction with our DB context. You can see in this class I am importing DB context. And for those of us who are not familiar with .NET, this is primary constructor. Or usually this is what you're going to do. So take away from the constructor for this case. And then you're going to just bring in all your dependencies.
Okay. All right. Injections and okay. So
Yeah,
I saw you do this in the previous video we had session we had. So basically, what's the let's say advantage over the
so for those of us that are coming from Python background, those that are coming from Python background, we can see that this is the way we create this is the way we create classes in Python, right? By just passing some of this directly into the controller. And again, if you have just a single constructor, if you have just a single constructor in your application and you don't have, and this is like the basic constructor you go to, why are we doing constructor dependency injection? Because when you try to instantiate a new you want to create a new instance of a class, what you're basically calling is this the name of the class, right? And then the parameters that you pass in. So it's as basic as that, rather than putting those too many codes. Yeah, I really prefer to just stick to the primary constructor because it's the same thing. Again, I don't need to have to instantiate fields, because in the other one you have to instantiate fields and then use the fields. But unless, for instances where you need to do some extra checks on the field to check, or probably you want to do checks for null, right? And just be sure that you have those things passed into a constructor as a dependency injection through the ROT containers first. But other than that, if you're just using them on the fly, be sure you already know that these services will be given to you by the dependency injection container. So this is fine. This is basically fine. So how do we get started if we wanted to do the same thing? And mind you, this approach is very, very robust. You can see from this application, when we run this application, you can see that this is going to give us information about the type of response that we are going to have. But when you're creating minimal API, the question is how do you achieve all of these things?
Exactly. So that way for documentation.
Exactly. So when we get to the part where we have to talk about documentation, it's a bit tricky, but you can achieve it as well. You can achieve it. It's good. But let's see. I had this other project right there that is created with minimal API. And class, I have already done some basic setup. I'm one of those persons that do not like my program, the CS class, to be fostered with code. So I've gone ahead to create an extension class.
All right.
So
yeah. So I was going to ask there, right? So, you know how when your project gets large and you have your program.cs file having lots of injections and the rest and setup. So we are still able to do extension classes here with minimal API.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing changes. It's the same thing as the traditional API, right? This MVC approach is the same thing. This is the program.cs class. The only difference is that the minimal API is you can, for instance, here, I can write a controller here, right, out of the box. I can say app.mapGet, right? So I can say when somebody requests for, let's say weather, right? What do I want to return? I want to return a change. Out of the box.
I think I'm using the app.map actually instead of mapget.
Yeah. Okay, mapget. Thank you very much. So if this alone is going to take in a callback function, right?
All right.
You can return a string.
Yeah.
You can just return a string straight. So what are we returning? Just return whatever. And this is out of the box. So if you imagine you're returning something as simple or as basic as this.
Exactly. Like
something as simple as basic as this. You don't have so much you want to do. So you don't want to create a full controller just to return something as simple as this. And that is the advantage of the minimal API itself. Yeah. That does not mean that we cannot do complex stuff. Let us take a look at the entities that we have in this application.
Okay.
Has a many-to-many relationship between them because a lot of ingredients can be used to make different kinds of dishes, right? And this can contain so we have a many-to-many relationship. As much as Entity Framework has the ability of doing the join table for us, I went ahead
to do the join table?
I'm also trying to seed my data. And I wanted to choose the kind of data that I will seed. So if you come to my seed data, there's this part where I have to seed in dish ingredients, right? And I only want to seed my data if I don't have anything in my database. If I didn't do this, what I would most likely do is that I'm going to go directly inside my sitting here. I can just call that guy anonymously. I don't have to call the name of the class, but because it sees these two entities like the dish ID and the ingredients ID, it knows that I'm trying to see data into the joining table. If you do this, we don't have the access to checking what environments we are working in. Currently, you can see that in my program of skills class, I'm trying to avoid doing this data seeding when we are not in.
Yeah.
You can see, so if I'm not in production, I want to do this. But if I wanted to see the directly inside my DB content, it's going to take a lot of work to do. And I have to start managing environment by myself within the database. It can be a very, very expensive process. So that is the reason why I chose to create my joining table myself.
All right.
It's just basic. We have our entities, we have our infrastructure. Inside our infrastructure, we'll set up our DB context, we've done migration, and we'll have all of this set up. And the only thing we need to do is just, and I'm not even using any kind of complex architecture. I'm calling my DB content directly into my controller, as simple as that for this application, right? I wanted to achieve, if I wanted to achieve something as similar to what we have here. So we have one very basic class here. This one that says you just make a request to the database and get all the dishes, right? If I wanted to do something like this, I can simply copy this stuff here. I can simply copy this straight into my master all of this stuff. Let's have a look at it open. There's all of this. Yeah, so if I come back to this application here, and I come into my configure pattern to have access to that. So what are we trying to get? We're trying to get dishes here. So I just say dishes. So it's the endpoints we're trying to talk. You know that in your MVC application, we are defining, if you don't define your route, your route has a conventional route that it takes. It takes the name of the controller and then the action methods.
Controller, right? Yeah.
So in this case, we have to define our route ourselves. So if I just say like dishes, right? Within this handler here, I have access to a lot of things. Let's take a look at this.
I was going to ask what about the query params and the rest. How do we access them?
Exactly. Here I'm passing my dishes DB context into as structural dependency injection into my controller. I can have that directly integrated here.
Okay.
As simple as this. I'll have access to this. And ASP.NET Core is going to handle. It's going to, because I've already registered DB context here. I've already registered add database here, right?
Yeah.
Because I have already done this, I now have access to. See, I've added DB context, and this is an extension method just for those that are wondering. What I'm really calling here is that I'm getting the required services. I'm registering this as add DB context path. So I get my DB context path and that's all. I have my connection string from my database and I have registered this service already. So this is what this call is called. And all I need to do is, now that I have this guy, what I can do, I can say dishes. I can say dishes to be equal to this. I can just say, so this is an asynchronous this is an asynchronous stuff. So I can just put a C here, right?
Okay.
If I put a C here, I can await this guy.
Await, all right.
Right. So as simple as, so because this is an await, but this I have to say, let me do something like to list the things. Cool. Okay, so question is, this is an asynchronous method. So you might want to pass in cancellation token by default. So if you had the cancellation token coming from your request, you can also pass it as cancellation token. This guy takes everything. So here I can also pass in cancellation token. Like anything you want. This guy can take anything, and you can pass in cancellation token.
So basically, everything injected, you can get everything injected right here.
Exactly. Regardless, but you just want to maintain, because if you're going to be doing this across for different endpoints, you just have consistency so that your endpoints will just look alike. In this case, I'm not getting any query parameter, any query string. It's just the DB context and passing into the class. I just have it. But if I don't have this guy takes cancellation taken by default. So I can also just take this off, because it has a default cancellation token that we take. So you see, from here, I already have my dishes, right? And I can try to return these dishes
directly without no
Exactly. So let me move back to this and try to run this application. I already expect that we're going to run into an issue, but let's see. Let's see. They're going to run into an issue, but let's see what issue we're going to run into. Okay, so it's saying something about table already exists. Cool. So the problem is that I have tried to run this thing before. As you can see, I already have my database, and I have to run. I've made changes on the migration before, so I have to delete these guys. So I can update the database again. I'm just going to come to package manager console and update the database again and get it set. Yes. Update database. Okay, so I'm running it on the wrong. I have to move to the structure and select this guy as where it is located. What should do? Let's start running application. So we have our application, we just have one endpoint. And if you take a look at this, you will see, if you, but mainly looking at this, you see a challenge. You see a challenge. You see, one of the challenges you're seeing is that this is a dish, but dish has an ingredients.
Ingredients,
and you can see relationship that have a dish ingredients.
Yes.
It doesn't have dish ingredients. So one thing I would expect, one issue I would expect to arise from this is that we are going to try to have like cyclic, some sort of, okay, we don't even have we don't have that cyclic issue. But again, you can see that in this report, having
the nested is going nested, is going through the nest.
Exactly. And we don't need all of these things. This brings us back to talking about choices that are made when we are designing our application. You don't want to expose your entities to the client.
Yeah, the structure.
Exactly. So you want to give your clients only what they need, right? And so for us to fix these problems, that we are returning stuff that we do not need, we have to create a DTO for this. We already have a DTO. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to map this DTO.
Map it into DTO, all right.
Bring us to ask me question. So how do we get AutoMapper into this guy? How do we get it? Because if you look at this controller, we have mapper here, right? And here we are doing some sort of map. And it goes as far as telling us that we even have some kind of results, return an action result. How do we specify results that we are going to return in our application. Well, let's see what we can do. Let's try to inject AutoMapper here. Let's see. The AutoMapper. So it's great. We have access to AutoMapper. We have access to everything that we have in our function, but we don't have a return type. We don't have a return type. So what is the return type for minimal API? Let's see how we can. Let's see what we can return. Anyway, let's see if we can access. Let's see. So if we go to the dish controller and then we look at this action result.
Yeah.
See, an action result implements and I convert to action results. Right?
Yeah.
Let's see what this class is. Let's see what this class is. So this class implements an I action result. Let's see what an I action result is. So an I action result defines a contract that represents the result of an action method. So what is the equivalent of this for minimal APIs? For minimal APIs, we have access to results. I'm just going to copy and paste a small piece of code from the same application that I have used. So I'll come to, and this is just to make it a bit faster. I want to do this Angular. I'll also explain what I'm trying to do. I'll try to do something. If you come back to hosting, we'll see that inside our dishes controller, we are returning OK result, which is a type of object result.
Yeah, OK response.
Yes, so I said OK result, which is type of OK object result. And all these OK objects, all this kind of stuff, they really implement an object result, an object response. So let's see the equivalent for this guy. So if I come back here, I can tell this guy that okay, I want to return a task of okay, I enable of this DTO. And you can see because this is not strongly typed, right? It is not telling, it's not enforcing us to do the actual mapping here.
Yeah,
right? It's not enforcing us to do the actual mapping. So we can tell from time what kind of response we are going to return back to the user. Since we already have AutoMapper here, we can just do some kind of mapping here and say mapper. Right. So we need to put a target. So where are we targeting this stuff? We need an INO
dish DTO.
And then all we need to do is to just pass in the dishes here.
Dishes.
Cool. But this is expecting an OK result.
Yeah.
This is expecting an OK result. And we are trying to just return an object without an OK result. So what we'll do is that we say a task result. Type result. This is a type result. Type result dot OK. And then we'll pass this into cool. So with this, we already have what we are returning. Right. So if we try to run our application, we would expect that this is going to return to us exactly what that the MVC approach is returning for us. But one challenge we face, if you take a look at our application here, we have no registered AutoMapper. Right. So this dependency will not be able to resolve at runtime because it doesn't know what AutoMapper is. One way to do it. Exactly, like I said, it's the same thing. If you come to your original application, the same way you start your services is the same way you register your services for this. So I can just pick this up and I paste it back the service. Okay. For those of us who would care to know, like you understand that AutoMapper, for you to use any kind of mapping, you need to create a mapping profile. So here I need to add AutoMapper to which I do already have. See that we don't have AutoMapper. Because we don't want to use AutoMapper just like that. We want AutoMapper that supports creation of content, via dependency injection. So you can just copy this directly from here, come back to our CS code file, paste this. Right, so using AutoMapper extensions and Microsoft the dependency injection will help us to resolve these services at runtime. Okay, so
all right. Now it's now
endpoint as simple as it is. We can test our endpoint and be sure that we are going to return just the dish detail. Okay. Those of us who want to learn how to use AutoMapper. I have a lot of stuff written on AutoMapper and how you can use them. All right, so you can see that right now, if we try to make this request, we are going to get just exactly what we want. Because here we are returning with dish detail. As simple as that. And because of the way we are building API, if you're building RESTful APIs, you need to stick to a single pattern, right? And not just a single pattern, you need to stick to the right pattern. Let's say, for instance, if you're trying to get a single item right now, calling this endpoint returns everything for us. Right? If we wanted to just get a single dish, right? The best thing to do is to /dishes/ then the ID of what you're looking for. Now, how do we achieve that? We can just copy this stuff, paste it here, and then here we need to pass in something, right? So this could be just the dish ID, right? And funny enough, by calling something dish ID here, I'm going to go ahead and put dish ID here, and this is going to be a greet, right? I say dish ID by writing it the same way you wrote this.
It is, yeah. All right. Okay.
So
it's automatically.
Exactly. So it's going to do automatic data binding for you. So you don't even need to come here and say from query or from route or
query or
route. It's going to do automatic data binding for you because you are giving it the same name. So it is powerful. The same way, the same functionality you get out of the box with the MVC pattern, you're getting it here as well. For this case, we don't want to return an enumerable. We just want to return a single dish. Same thing as this. You don't want to return this. And from here, you want to filter and say where. All right, so this is dish, and say dish.id is equal to the dish ID that you're passing in, right?
Yeah.
That's the first of default. The same.
So, right.
So this is supposed to have to ask me another question, or no? Because right now, whether or not to get a dish, we are going to return something.
Yeah, it's going to. So would that be null, or it's just be an empty object?
Exactly. So if you don't get it, okay, let's try to see. Let's see what we're doing. Let's try to run this application again and see what happens when we don't get stuck. Let's see if it is the same thing that we want. And how can we handle situations like that? Because I know that in the traditional API, MVC pattern, we know how to handle stuff like that. And let's see how we can handle this. Like, so right here, I'm just going to write I'm going to, okay, so pick up this stuff, this sample data from here, and I'll paste it here. And I'm sure that we don't have something like this. So you see, you still get the 200 OK response because that is what we are returning.
Yeah.
And you don't get any data, right? But that's what you're returning. Yeah. And that's because trying to return OK result, but that is not what you really want. So you don't want to return an OK result. So it's either you find it or you don't find it. So one way we can do this is to say either we return this or we return not found. But this guy's complaining because right here we are returning type result.
Type result. Okay.
So what if I take this out? If I took this out, or let's just say something like this. I said I can either return this. So if you have dish, if you have a dish, so you can return let's say so dish equals 1. Right. So if it is not, you want to return type result dot not found, right? Otherwise, we want to be one type result dot
Okay.
Right. So this is actually what we want to return. Well, it's complaining for us because of the way doing this. So let us return a tax of results. So it is either it is okay. Let's just try to do this. Let's see. Let's,
Okay. So all right. So the results now, whatever we pass
exactly.
to the results, yeah, what they call it, generics, and we would be able to get them.
Exactly. So these are some of the things you can return. So, and again, we can do more than this. Right? We can do more than this. If you wanted to handle, right here, we are specifying that this is the only kind of results you can get.
All right.
Right. By passing this. But if I wanted to pass in, if I wanted to check whether you're, let's say I wanted to do manually, I wanted to check whether you are authorized to view this endpoint, and I don't want to use a filter to handle authorization, right? And I wanted to just check what response you get. And I say, okay, if the response is, if I have like a custom result cloud I'm getting, and I want to use the status code to know what I'm chances that this endpoint can return more than one result. So if that is the case, I don't want to do this. I'll just take all of this away, and I'll just return task result, just like you can return action result or action result.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly. So we may not want to do this, but let's see what we're going to do. What we're going to do if we try to run this application like this. I think our time is faster. So
yes, fast paint. Yeah. So I would like to ask another question, right? So since these are examples we've been writing the code, writing the logic inside the controller, inside the program.cs.
Yeah.
So is it possible that we can have a service where all these methods are lying around and we can just call those services?
Yeah, sure. So you can see here we are returning not found for one.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah, 404.
We can do more than this. In fact, this we can go ahead as there's so many things we can do here. We can map a group. Let's just do one thing called map group, right? Before we try to split this into another class. So we can have like a folder for handlers, and I'm going to show you guys it. But let's try to do stuff. You see how interesting this guy is. So we can have a group. Right now, we say that this endpoint looks like this endpoint, right?
Yeah. So they could be groups together.
Exactly.
To
we
share
can group them
routes
together and then use exactly. So let us see from I already finished endpoint. Let's see some of the things that we can get out of the box. So you see, I have a dishes handler class, which is a static class. I just want to call all my endpoints, and you can see that it's the same thing. What I'm doing is that I'm using a constructor. This is a method, and then within the method, I'm passing like DB context, plain principal. And the good thing about this is that from your traditional MVC, you have access to HTTP context. And from the HTTP context, you can get the user, and from the user, you can get the identity. But here, you have direct access to the claims principal. So from the claims principal, you can check the user's identity.
Right.
Exactly. And you can do all of this. So you can see that we have this is not a service, this is just a static class that contains methods. Right?
Method, all right.
Exactly. So let us see how we can use this guy. If we come to these are our handlers, and I also have an endpoint route builder extension. And this is how I'm building my route. And let's see something very good I'm doing. First of all, I built a group, and the group is anything that has /dishes in it.
Dishes, all right.
So instead of it to call map.get, and I have access again to an endpoint route builder, which is just what I need to build my endpoint route. Is this interface? I don't have to pack the entire web application, right? And then dump it into this. From the web application, I can access high endpoints route builder. So again, this is why it's lightweight, because you don't have to carry one very big class that you don't need. And here I created a group, and you can see that I can even add authentication at the group level. Yeah, you get add it at the group level. And then this group, I can even create another group from it. So I say, okay, I have dishes, but then any endpoint that is dishes / then dish ID. I can even create another group from it. And then let us see how we're using the group. So these dishes.
I can see that you have the type of the dish ID attached to the route.
Okay, so this is for instances where we are trying to let's imagine we wanted to have similar endpoint, but this endpoint we want to look at this. Similar endpoints coming from the dish endpoint, right? So that means it has dishes first. Okay? But again, it has something similar to the other one. But the difference is that this time around, I'm looking for a dish name. If you don't look for a way to remove that ambiguity, if you try to make a call, if we didn't put this group, right? And we try to make a call, we're passing. Remember that everything that is coming from the route is a string.
Yes.
Everything that's coming from the route is a string. So if you don't tell it that, okay, if you see a dish ID that looks like a grid, do a form of data binding to map it to a grid, it will imagine this to be a string. It will confuse this endpoint for this endpoint, and it will be very, very ambiguous.
Oh, okay. Oh, right. All right. Great. Nice one. So we have less than 3 minutes on this session. So can we just quickly round up and?
All right. So let's round up. Let's see how we're able to call those static classes that we have created. For instance, we have dishes endpoint / map get, and then we can just pass in our method that does the work for us. We go to dishes handler and get dish by name async. You can see our method here. Very easy to use.
All right.
So this answers the question of how we can break it down, not have one very big program.cs class that contains all of the methods that we need. So from here we can with our classes, continue to maintain single responsibility principle and the whole solid principles attached to our program. And so in our next series, I would like to talk about how we can achieve validation, how we can achieve authentication and authorization in our application, and so forth. I don't know if anyone has any question.
So what's the questions? See anyone with questions? Any questions? Well, Obina, it was great. It was a great one learning from you today. It's like say, it's been enlightening. So I'm pretty much I'm kind of like what I say. I'm ready to dive right back in. I'm ready to dive right back into this into .NET at this point in time. All right. So I'm showing the link to the GitHub repo for the project you just did for demo for us, right? So and anyone, if you're interested in getting the files and to play around with it, because I am really interested. So I'm looking forward to another session where we will be able to dive right into this minimal API concepts, right? So maybe where we can throw in our validation, DTOs, and playing around with minimal API. What do you think?
Interesting.
Hi, Obina.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, I think we can do that. I'm really interested.
All right, great.
Seeing all the things we can do.
Great. So I think I would be, let's say, I'll reach out to you so we can schedule an appropriate time. So thank you guys for joining us on this today's session. I hope it was enlightening for you as it was for me. In case you still want to have access to the GitHub repository, we have this on the screen. And so that's it for today's episode of our probably it's our pilot episode for the Friday live series. Once more again, Obina Asegbulam, thank you very much for joining us, and thank you for this enlightening session. I look forward to seeing you in our next session. Do have a great night. All right, guys. So basically, I hope you had, I hope you found this as enlightening as I did. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to my channel and notifications so that way you can be aware of when we're picking up this class again from Obina. All right, this is Ayibakuro and over and out.